This is the Floridaville. Get to know the people behind the Florida names you know. I'm your host, Rosanna Catalano. On this episode, we get to know executive chef Joe Longo with the Frenchman's Reserve Country Club, a prestigious and private golf course community situated in Palm Beach Gardens. We're recording remotely today. I'm in my home in Tallahassee, and Chef Joe is speaking to us from South Florida. Welcome to the show.
So nice to be with you. Thank you.
So, fans of this show often ask me how I find my guests. And most of the time, my guests come recommended to me. In your case, I found you on LinkedIn. You post the most amazing food pictures. How does an executive chef like you stay inspired?
Well, I just have food on my mind at all times, Rosanna. There's no trick to it. I think it's just was my calling, and it never gets turned off. So I can't even tell you exactly how anymore. It's just part of my DNA. Everything just reminds me of food or serving people, and it's just something that I'm very fortunate. I guess it's a blessing and a curse, but it's a tap that never shuts off.
Are we related? Because as I'm eating breakfast, I'm thinking about lunch. As I'm eating lunch, I'm thinking about dinner. And I grew up with a family that when we get together, we discuss food. I call my sister every day, and we always discuss what we ate that day.
Exactly. Very similar experiences growing up. The conversation around our dinner was like 10 minutes on whether the pasta was al dente enough, and all those sorts of good things. So yeah, food is a major part of our lives, of my life. It's just always on my mind, just like you said.
Well, you've been working in restaurants for decades. Where did you begin your career in the restaurant industry?
I was at a small place called Postabilities, which is a great name. We love that one.
Love that name.
Postabilities. It was a small place at the Short Hills Mall in Short Hills, New Jersey. And I started as a dishwasher. And I remember the pasta cook called in sick, and I got my big chance to go on the line. And then that was it. That was the epiphany I got right there. And I've really never done any other job. I've been in the kitchen ever since I'm 16 years old. And once I got a taste for it, there's an old saying that the kitchen chooses you. You don't choose the kitchen. And in my case, that's exactly what happened. The kitchen sort of chose me, and here I am.
What were some lessons you learned at that job that have stayed with you?
I think the top one was the collaboration, the connections and the collaboration. It was this almost like a ballet, just watching all these men and women working together with a lot of passion and this fast-paced environment. And I just saw all the communication that needed to take place, and this collaborative sort of environment, and that just got me.
So after you worked at Postabilities, I still absolutely adore that name. Where did you work next?
Well, at that point, I got the Florida bug. I never was much for the winters up there, even as a kid. So when I had the opportunity, which was basically a phone call from my best friend saying, "You got to get down here," and that was about the extent of it. I came down, and with that little bit of cooking experience, I just parlayed it into a job down here in Florida. I was at a small place called Alberto's La Terrazza, where one of my mentors, an Italian gentleman with an extensive background in all kinds of cuisines out of Europe, kind of took me under his wing, saw something in me, and kind of just imparted every single thing he knew, and I just ate it up. And, that really kind of gave me the experience I needed to keep on going.
So after you worked there, let's go through your resume a little bit and tell me about some of the other restaurants that you worked and some of the positions that you had and how you've worked your way up in the industry.
Sure. Well, I started in sort of the New Jersey mom and pop Italian restaurant. So that was my kind of, where I felt safe, so to speak. So I kept on parlaying that into jobs in Italian restaurants. I went to a place in Coral Springs called Flavors of Italy, where I was there for many years. And I loved it. And I loved doing the Italian food. But then I knew at some point I had to expand my repertoire, so to speak. And what really gave me the kind of epiphany moment, it was when I got hired at Max's Grill at Meisner Park in Boca Raton. I had never seen this kind of food. I had been sort of locked into the Italian cuisine for a decade already, even as a young guy. And all of a sudden I saw this kind of new American and Asian fusion and a different style of service and a different style of food and beverage. And that really just took it to a whole different level. That just clicked. And I knew right then and there that I needed to learn as much as humanly possible. And I wanted to be a chef, to really, really be the executive chef. So that kind of turned on the light bulb for me at Max's Grill.
What does an executive chef do? For those of us that haven't worked in a professional kitchen, what does that cover?
It's very multifaceted. It's not just cooking the food, obviously. It's developing all the menus. It's developing all the banquets. It's inspiring a team of chefs every single day to do their best job. It's profit and loss. It's ordering and receiving. It's so many different things. When you get a chance to cook, you actually feel like that's your happy place. So it's kind of all the other stuff. It's scheduling. It's all those other things that, you're really a businessman at this point. You're really running the day-to-day operations of the kitchen. And, not only that, but you're inspiring every day, which is a different element to a lot of managers' jobs. You really have to come in there pumped up and inspired.
Now, I do know you spent some time in California in your career briefly. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Another really pivotal experience for me was out in California, where I got to be the banquet chef at the Ritz-Carlton at Marina Del Rey. And that just brought a different level of commitment and a different kind of mindset into how to treat the guest. Now I got a different level of expertise as far as service goes, not just the cooking. Now it's how we greet people, how we anticipate and exceed the unexpressed wishes and needs of the guest, which was always one of my favorite Ritz-Carlton lines. And that's stuck with me for my whole career. I use the example of a hot dog to my staff when I talk about this. And when you order a hot dog, well, you order a hot dog, but we're going to give you the relish, the sauerkraut, the mustard, the ketchup. We've anticipated and exceeded your unexpressed wishes and needs. So that's the biggest thing I got from the Ritz-Carlton, to really just sort of anticipate the needs of the guest and always be one step ahead with our service.
I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. So
Yeah.
let's take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you about your childhood and learn how you developed your love of cooking.
This episode of The Floridaville is brought to you by Rocket Ship Consultants. Let us help you launch your career, your business, your podcast, or your live stream. Follow us on Facebook and on Instagram, and visit our website at www.rocketshipconsultants.com.
Welcome back. My guest today is Executive Chef Joe Longo of the Frenchman's Reserve, a private club in Palm Beach Gardens. Before the break, we discussed all the fabulous places he has worked, from Max's Grill in Fort Lauderdale to the Ritz-Carlton in California. For those of us, we talked earlier, that have never worked in a professional kitchen, how in the world do you get all the orders out on time and hot? I mean, pride myself on being a chef in my own house, a cook, a short order cook most of the time. But that's something that I struggle with. And I think a lot of people that are cooking struggle with. And I'm always amazed how you all do it on such a large scale.
Well, it is quite something to behold at times. I don't think we know how we do it sometimes, but it starts with the right menu. It starts with the schematics, which is the way the line is set up. And really, it's a lot of kind of trial and error. At this point, we know what type of menus to write. We know how to have balance on the line. You don't want the grill to be more heavier than the pantry and the saute. So if all the stations are kind of hitting on all cylinders, that's going to make for a better service and a quicker service where everything's going to come up together. Now, if one particular area is getting killed and the other ones aren't doing anything, that's when you start getting backed up on tickets and that type of stuff. It's important for a chef, especially a young chef, to get into a place that is going to allow you to make a couple mistakes and not huge ones. We have a saying, you can drop the ball, but keep it so low to the ground that nobody knows. And it's really one of those jobs where you're not going to be able to come in there and just sort of figure it out. You're going to have to go through some bad services. You're going to have to go through re-editing some of your menu choices or how you execute certain things. And then after all that experience comes together and you've attracted a lineup of cooks with the same type of experience, everything sort of hits together, and there's really no secret to it. It's really hard work. It's really, just doing that balancing act of having really good cooks, a good game plan, and the focus that's required. So
we are coming up on the holidays, and many of us will be in the kitchen cooking up big holiday meals for our families. Do you have some advice for us home cooks on how to improve our cooking game?
Sure. When I do cooking classes especially, I always preach one phrase, a French phrase called mise en place, which means having everything in its place prior to cooking. And I can still remember my mom, not that she wasn't a great cook, and she still is, but running for that one bay leaf in the middle of the recipe or back to the refrigerator for a piece of basil, that type of thing. So really getting the recipes organized, doing all the prep work required for each dish, having the right tools especially is very important for Thanksgiving. You got to have the pans that are big enough. You got to have all the little doodads to do your peeling of the potatoes and all those things. So invest in a good chef's knife. The tools are extremely important, but I think the plan is really where it comes down to writing everything down, writing the amounts, and just kind of prepping everything prior to starting the cooking process. That would be my biggest advice.
What are some of your favorite dishes that you cook for your favorite people?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have 4 kids. 2 of them are vegetarian. 2 of them are picky. So I'm all
I've
over
got
the
a picky
place.
pants at home. I have a picky pants at home.
So I'm all over the place. Now I love cooking the food that I grew up on. I love doing the Sunday sauce with the meatballs and the sausage and the pasta. I definitely have one foot in nostalgia when I cook at home. I really do. I love all the old dishes. We love comfort food, whether it's a really good meatloaf. My wife's really great in the kitchen as well, with the Brazilian food, especially some really nice cuisine that she does. So we keep it very kind of simple but tasty. And with 4 kids, we're shopping for bargains too. So we're pretty adaptable to what we're going to make. We'll do some homemade pizza. The kids love that. We love doing the chicken parm and the vegetarian. My 2 girls, they love the ramen and they love the various Asian things that we do. We do dumpling night and we do a bunch of cool stuff, man. So we just love all the comfort food, ethnic food. There's nothing that really we don't like.
That sounds delicious. I'm waiting for my invitation.
You got it.
So, we've been talking about family, and you told us about your 4 kids and your wife. What was your home life like growing up?
Everything was about food. So being in the Italian house.
I was about to say, you must be Italian.
Yeah, everything was food. It was, whether it was a birthday, a funeral, a wedding, everything was surrounded by food. And I understand. I think that's what really drew me to it as well, because I know the importance of food. It's there when you need it. It's celebration. It's happiness. For the most part. And I know in the Italian house, it wasn't just about cooking the food. It was about nurturing each other. It was about imparting. What else could you do more for somebody than cook them a meal? It just hits you right, right in the heart. So I don't think, at least in our family, there was nothing more that you could show love for than cooking someone a really nice meal. And I just fell in love with the food. My dad loved going to restaurants, so we always went to restaurants, which I always loved as well. I never would order off the kids' meal. I had to have like a huge veal parm at like 7 years old. But everything's food, and it still is to this day.
Did you have a favorite cook growing up? Was it your mom, your dad, a grandparent? Was there somebody that you were like, oh, so-and-so's making the whatever? Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
Is there a favorite cook?
Mostly mom, but I'm going to give dad one credit. The few times where mom had to go out and, she wasn't cooking that night, he had his go-to pasta dish. He called it the special. And it was basically like this crazy baked ziti that he would come up with, but we loved it. I grew up with two brothers, so it was three boys, and it would irritate my mom to no end, because it was such a thrown together easy dish, and she's doing all this incredible food, and we're sitting here raving about the pasta, the special. She goes, oh really, the special? Okay. So the special definitely sticks out as one of those dishes I'll always remember.
I love that. If people came to see you at the Frenchman's Reserve, what could they expect from the menu and the service?
Well, we do everything. We have various outlets. So if you came to our restaurant, you would get this beautiful kind of full service comfort menu. If you came to one of our fine dining events or one of our wine dinners, you would get a 5-course, more elaborate kind of more technically advanced type menu. But I think the biggest thing there is you would be happy. That's really, we decided that our kind of mantra and our motto is, we're in the happiness business. And it's not about the food. It's not about the service. Yeah, those are all super important. But we just want people to be happy. We want you to be able to come to your restaurant or come to any part of the club and just have a great day, have a happy day. And whether that involves good food and beverage or, the service, whatever it may be, that's what we're going to do, So we're really in the happiness business, and we just happen to do food.
Do you find that you're back up and running to 100% now that we're, the pandemic? I mean, we're still in the middle of it, but your industry has taken a huge hit from that. How have you all been doing? And, like I said, are you all back up the way you want to be?
No, unfortunately, no. We are doing everything we can do to sort of think outside the box of how to serve people in a safe, responsible way. And right now we're lucky that we have a large outdoor serving area where we're doing most of our service that people are coming. The biggest thing that happened was this huge to-go service that we do now. I mean, we reinvented ourselves. So we're doing upwards of 150 deliveries a night, so we're still there for you. I do videos every day of the specials, which sort of keeps people connected to the club and to the kitchen. And, we're just going off the lead of our board as well. So it's very rare at this club that the board asks if the employees are okay with the decisions. It's really, really nice. It's really refreshing. It's not like, okay, you're going to do this, that, and the other thing. Say, chef, is your team okay with being open on this particular night? Are we okay with doing a small event upstairs? How do you guys feel about it? Yeah, we feel good about it. No problem. Okay, let's proceed. So that's really it. We're really being cautious, and so far we've been pretty lucky. No employees have gotten anything. A few of the members, but we're still not doing banquets. We're still not doing buffets. We got a ways to go.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you all are doing as well as you can
Yes.
in
Yes, we
these
are.
circumstances. And I think it's lovely to hear that you all are being supported by
Yeah,
your board.
very
Really
much
nice
so.
to come to work and feel that support.
It is.
So, we like to end our show with a little fun by asking all of our guests the same 7 questions. What would people be surprised to know about you?
Oh man, what would they be surprised to know about me? That I like 50s music, 1950s music. I
Okay,
think a lot of people would be surprised about that.
I would not have pegged you for that, but okay, I'm going
See,
with
there
it.
you go. Right?
Who's your favorite artist?
Oh my gosh. Well, I like Dion and the Belmonts because my dad grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and he always had these stories of like seeing these guys on the corner and all this other stuff. So I got the nostalgia bug, put it that way.
I love it.
Yeah.
When you have guests in town, where is your favorite place to take them?
We always take them to this little Brazilian buffet restaurant called Picanha Brazil. And yeah, we take them to all the finer restaurants as well, but everyone wants to come back to the Brazilian restaurant where they carve the steak, table side, and it's a whole huge buffet, and they just love it, man. Especially the people that come from New Jersey. Every time I take them there, they can't wait. That's the first stop is the Brazilian buffet.
And
So,
where's it
it's in
located?
Boca. The one we go to is in Boca. But we love going to Louis Bossi's. I guess I'm just like my parents. I know a place where you go for the pizza, then you got to go to this place for a bagel. So I'm like all over the place, depending on what you want to eat.
When I return home to South Florida, I'm going to have you make me a map.
Yeah, definitely.
What is the name of a book you recently read that you could not put down, or the name of a show you enjoyed binge watching?
It's funny because I had never read Kitchen Confidential. And I finally picked that one up and read it. And I was like, it pretty much depicted my whole early career, basically. So that was one I couldn't put down. I don't know why I never picked it up after all these years, but I finally took a look at it. Yeah. And that was great.
I love it. Yeah. Among your close family and friends, what are you best known for?
I think I'm just a solid hard worker. Hopefully a great dad, I've been told. Family man, that's really it. That's all I ever wanted to be anyway. Be a decent chef, treat everybody great, but I just wanted to be a family man. And thank goodness I got a beautiful wife, a great support system. It's not easy getting married to a chef. There's a lot of lonely hours on your own. And I could not do any of this without her, man. She's the star. And that's my story.
I love it. If you have a nickname, who gave it to you?
Oh man. Well, it was kind of I was always known as Zepp for Giuseppe, right? So coming up in the Italian neighborhood, Giuseppe just turned into Zepp, and I don't know who to give credit or smack him for it, but that one stuck, man. So it was this short for Giuseppe. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and everybody had some type of Italian nickname, and that was mine.
If you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt?
Oh man. Well, now I'm going to be 55. I think it's a little late, but I probably would have tried to open up a restaurant. I always, in the back of my mind, I wanted to, but I also like working at the club, so it was just a very hard choice. But if I knew I couldn't fail, I would give it a try.
It's never too late.
I know.
What are the top 3 things you love about living in Florida?
Oh man. Well, one is the beach because we love surfing. We love paddle boarding. We love that. I love the, it's easy down here. I don't know how to explain it in a good way. I just always felt that it had an ease to the life, coming from New Jersey and even living out in California. There was a different level of stress to everything. I don't know. I feel at ease down here. I feel less stressful. I also love the diversity of the people. You know, I love the melting pot. Met my beautiful wife from Brazil here, so I mean, it couldn't happen in any other state.
I grew up in South Florida,
Yeah,
so I miss it.
yeah, yeah. It's really nice.
Well, thank you for joining us today. I hope I can refer to you now as my paisano,
You got it,
Chef Joe.
1000%. Thank you so much.
Yes. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on all your favorite podcasting listening platforms. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Visit our website to see some extras regarding this episode. Our audio editor for this podcast episode is Joy Tootle with Rocket Ship Consultants. If you're interested in sponsoring our podcast or would like to suggest a future guest, please email me at feedback@thefloridaville.com. That's feedback@thefloridaville.com. Thank you for tuning in.